What's up, movie lovers? Did you know that YouTube isn't just for cat videos and music? There's actually a massive library of full-length movies you can watch completely free, legally, and without any sketchy websites. And today, I'm sharing 15 hidden gems that most people have no idea are sitting right there on YouTube. Before we dive in, smash that like button and subscribe if you love free entertainment. Trust me, you'll want to bookmark this video. Let's get into it. Night of the Living Dead, 1968. Starting strong with a horror classic, George Romero's iconic zombie film is in the public domain, which means it's completely free to watch on YouTube in crystal clear quality. This is the movie that created the modern zombie genre. Before this film, zombies were mostly mindless servants controlled by voodoo masters. Romero completely reinvented the concept into the flesh-eating undead we know today. What's incredible is that this was made for just $114,000 and filmed in rural Pennsylvania with local actors. The lead character, Ben, played by Dwayne Jones, was one of the first black heroes in a horror film, which was revolutionary for 1968. The ending is still gut-punching and socially relevant today. Fun fact, the only reason it's in public domain is because the distributor forgot to put a copyright notice on the prints. That mistake means you can watch this groundbreaking masterpiece for free. The black and white cinematography actually adds to the creepy atmosphere, making it feel like found footage or a newsreel. If you've never seen where it all started, now's your chance. This film still holds up today and has influenced everything from The Walking Dead to 28 Days Later. Nosferatu, 1922. Speaking of classics, this silent film vampire masterpiece is over 100 years old and absolutely free. F.W. Murnau's unauthorized adaptation of Dracula is a fascinating piece of cinema history. Here's the story. Murnau couldn't get the rights to Bram Stoker's novel, so he changed the names and details. Count Dracula became Count Orlok, and instead of being a suave aristocrat, he became this rat-like, genuinely terrifying creature of the night. Max Schreck's performance as Count Orlok is so unsettling that rumors circulated for years that he was an actual vampire. His shadow creeping up the stairs is one of the most iconic images in all of horror cinema. You've seen it parodied everywhere, but seeing it in context is something else entirely. The German expressionist style, with its exaggerated shadows, sharp angles, and distorted sets, creates this nightmarish atmosphere that no modern CGI can replicate. And here's something cool. Watch it with a modern atmospheric soundtrack. Many YouTube uploads have added contemporary music that completely transforms the viewing experience. Some have electronic scores, others have orchestral arrangements. It's like experiencing a century-old film in a completely new way. This is essential viewing for anyone who loves horror or film history. Charade, 1963. Hidden in plain sight, this Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn romantic thriller is basically a Hitchcock film without Hitchcock. And I mean that as the highest compliment. The story follows Regina, played by Hepburn, who discovers after her husband's murder that he had stolen $250,000 during World War II. Now, multiple mysterious men are after her, all claiming they're there to help, but who can she trust? The chemistry between Grant and Hepburn is absolutely electric. There's this running joke throughout the film where Hepburn keeps pursuing the much older Grant, completely flipping the usual Hollywood dynamic. Grant apparently felt he was too old to be her romantic interest, so they wrote it so that she pursues him, which actually makes the relationship even more charming. Here's the crazy part. Because of some copyright issues at release, specifically the distributor failed to properly copyright the film, this absolute gem entered the public domain. That means you can watch one of the most stylish, sophisticated thrillers of the 1960s for absolutely nothing. The film has everything: murder, mystery, romance, comedy, and Paris. The plot twists keep coming, and the final revelation is genuinely surprising. If you love classic Hollywood, this is non-negotiable viewing. His Girl Friday, 1940. If you love fast-talking, witty dialogue, this is your movie. Cary Grant and Rosalind Russell absolutely fly through the script at breakneck speed in this screwball comedy about newspapers, corruption, and remarriage. The story centers on Hildy Johnson, a star reporter who wants to quit the newspaper business, marry a nice boring guy, and become a housewife. Her ex-husband and editor, Walter Burns, played by Grant, has other plans and manipulates her into covering one last story. Here's what's revolutionary about this film. It's been called one of the fastest talking films ever made, with overlapping dialogue that was way ahead of its time. Director Howard Hawks told his actors to step on each other's lines and talk over one another, creating this incredibly naturalistic energy that feels modern even today. Some scenes have dialogue speeds reaching up to 240 words per minute. Rosalind Russell is phenomenal as Hildy. She holds her own against Grant in every scene, proving she's just as smart, just as cunning, and just as ambitious as any man in the newsroom. This was hugely progressive for 1940. The film is based on the play The Front Page, where Hildy was originally male, but Hawks changed the character to female and made it infinitely better. The humor, the pace, the performances, everything clicks perfectly. It's basically the template for every workplace comedy that came after. Reefer Madness, 1936. Okay, this one's so bad it's good. Originally titled Tell Your Children, this anti-marijuana propaganda film was funded by a church group and intended to be shown to parents as an educational film about the dangers of cannabis. Instead, it became a cult classic because of how hilariously, absurdly over the top it is. In the world of Reefer Madness, people don't just smoke weed and get relaxed or hungry. They immediately become violent maniacs, develop psychosis, attempt murder, and descend into complete madness after just one puff. There's a scene where a guy smokes marijuana and then plays piano so fast and aggressively that it's basically treated like he's possessed by demons. Another character takes one hit and literally laughs herself into insanity. The acting is melodramatic, the facts about marijuana are completely fabricated, and the message is so heavy-handed that it's impossible to take seriously. This film was actually rediscovered in the 1970s and became a midnight movie sensation, screened at colleges where audiences would watch it ironically. It's unintentional comedy gold and perfect for a movie night with friends. You'll be quoting it for weeks. Faster, faster! If you want to understand what moral panic looks like in cinema form, this is your crash course. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, 1920. This German expressionist film is an absolute masterpiece of visual storytelling and one of the most influential films ever made. The story follows a hypnotist named Dr. Caligari, who uses a somnambulist, a sleepwalker, named Cesare to commit murders in a small German town. But the plot is almost secondary to the visual experience. The twisted, hand-painted sets create this nightmarish world where nothing is straight or normal. Walls lean at impossible angles, shadows are painted directly onto the scenery, and doorways are warped and distorted. It's like stepping into a fever dream or a living painting. The filmmakers created this style partly out of necessity. They didn't have much money for lighting, so they just painted the shadows on, but it ended up creating something revolutionary. This film's influence cannot be overstated. You can see its DNA in everything from Tim Burton's entire aesthetic to modern horror movies, film noir, and even Batman's Gotham City. The exaggerated acting, which might seem strange to modern viewers, was the style of silent film era, but here it perfectly matches the distorted world around the characters. And the twist ending still works over 100 years later. This is one of those films where every frame could be a piece of art hanging in a museum. Little Shop of Horrors, 1960. Before the beloved musical with the catchy songs, there was this low-budget horror comedy shot in just 2 days. Yes, you heard that right. Director Roger Corman was famous for making films quickly and cheaply, but this might be his most impressive achievement. He had access to some standing sets that were about to be torn down, so he wrote a script in a weekend and shot the entire movie in 21 hours over 2 days. The story follows Seymour Krelboynd, a nerdy florist shop worker who discovers a strange plant that thrives on human blood. As the plant grows larger, its appetite increases, and Seymour finds himself committing murder to keep his creation alive. It's campy, it's weird, and it's an absolute blast to watch. The real treasure here is a young Jack Nicholson in one of his earliest roles. He plays Wilberforce, a masochistic dental patient who actually enjoys pain. His scene is only a few minutes long, but it's comedy gold, and you can already see the manic energy that would make him a star. The film's ending is completely different from the musical version, darker and more in line with the B-movie horror comedy vibe. This is the original story of Seymour and his man-eating plant, and it's absolutely worth watching before or after the musical version. DOA, 1950. This film noir has one of the most unique and compelling premises in cinema history. A man walks into a police station to report his own murder. Frank Bigelow, played brilliantly by Edmund O'Brien, has been poisoned with a slow-acting luminous toxin that has no antidote. He has maybe 24 to 48 hours to live, and he has to figure out who killed him and why before he dies. What follows is this desperate race against time as Bigelow retraces his steps, trying to figure out what he stumbled into that would make someone want him dead. The tension is incredible because we know from the beginning that he's doomed. This isn't a story about whether he'll survive, but whether he'll get justice before his time runs out. The film is considered one of the best examples of classic noir cinema, with all the genre's hallmarks: high contrast lighting, urban decay, moral ambiguity, and a protagonist trapped by fate. O'Brien's performance is fantastic. You can see the desperation and panic building as he realizes his time is running out. The famous opening scene where he walks into the police station and says, "I want to report a murder," mine is still chilling. Fun fact, like several films on this list, it entered public domain due to copyright issues, which is why you can watch this masterpiece for free. If you're into mystery, noir, or just great storytelling, this is essential viewing. Metropolis, 1927. Fritz Lang's science fiction epic was so ahead of its time it's almost unbelievable. Made in 1927, this film envisions a future city where society is divided into two classes: the wealthy elite who live in luxurious skyscrapers above ground, and the workers who toil endlessly in the machines below ground. The story follows Freder, the son of the city's founder, who discovers the harsh conditions of the workers and falls in love with Maria, a woman trying to unite both classes. The special effects and production design in this film were groundbreaking. The cityscape, with its towering buildings, flying vehicles, and massive machines, influenced everything from Blade Runner to Star Wars to The Fifth Element. The iconic robot character, the Maschinenmensch, has become one of the most recognizable images in science fiction. You've seen it referenced everywhere from music videos to modern sci-fi films. The restored version available on YouTube is stunning. For decades, the film only existed in heavily edited versions, but a near-complete restoration was completed using footage discovered in Argentina in 2008. Watching it now, with its original length and score, is a revelation. The scale of the production is massive, with thousands of extras and sets that still look impressive today. This is essential viewing for any film buff or sci-fi fan. It proves that great science fiction isn't about predicting technology. It's about exploring human nature and society. House on Haunted Hill, 1959. Vincent Price at his campy, creepy best. This is pure B-movie perfection, and a perfect example of William Castle's gimmicky genius. The story is simple but effective. Eccentric millionaire Frederick Loren, played by Price, invites 5 strangers to spend the night in a notoriously haunted house. If they make it through the night, they each get $10,000, a fortune in 1959. As you can imagine, things get increasingly weird and terrifying as the night progresses. What makes this film special is Vincent Price's performance. He plays Loren with this perfect mix of charm, menace, and dark humor. Every line delivery is dripping with sarcasm and innuendo, especially in his scenes with his wife, played by Carol Omart. Their marriage is clearly toxic, and there's this underlying sense that they're both trying to kill each other. The film is full of clever tricks and genuine scares, from the floating ghost to the vat of acid in the basement. When this originally played in theaters, director William Castle had skeletons on wires fly over the audience during certain scenes, a gimmick called emergo. Even without that theatrical element, the film works beautifully. The twist ending is genuinely clever, and the whole thing is just pure fun. It's been remade multiple times, but nothing beats the original with Price chewing scenery like it's his last meal. Perfect Halloween watch, or anytime you want classic horror entertainment. The Last Man on Earth, 1964. Before Will Smith's I Am Legend, before Charlton Heston's The Omega Man, there was Vincent Price in this post-apocalyptic horror film. This is the first and most faithful adaptation of Richard Matheson's groundbreaking novel I Am Legend, and it's genuinely atmospheric and effective in ways the later, bigger-budget versions aren't. The film follows Dr. Robert Morgan, the sole survivor of a plague that has killed most of humanity and turned the rest into vampire-like creatures. By day, he searches for supplies and hunts the infected. By night, he barricades himself in his home while the creatures surround his house, calling his name and trying to break in. It's a routine he's repeated for 3 years, and you can feel the loneliness and desperation wearing him down. What makes this version special is how seriously it takes the material. There's no Hollywood action hero stuff here. Morgan is just a tired, lonely man trying to survive. Vincent Price plays it completely straight, showing real vulnerability and pain. The black and white cinematography gives it this stark documentary feel that makes it more unsettling. Shot in Rome, standing in for Los Angeles, the empty streets and abandoned buildings create this eerie post-apocalyptic atmosphere. The film also retains the novel's brilliant ending and its central theme, asking who the real monster is. This is patient, thoughtful horror that influenced everything from Night of the Living Dead to The Walking Dead. Carnival of Souls, 1962. This psychological horror film was made on a shoestring budget of just $33,000, but it has become incredibly influential and is now considered a cult classic. The story follows Mary Henry, a young woman who survives a car accident where her vehicle plunged off a bridge into a river. After emerging from the water hours later as the only survivor, she tries to start fresh by taking a job as a church organist in a new town. But something isn't right. She keeps seeing a ghostly pale man following her, and she feels increasingly drawn to an abandoned carnival pavilion on the outskirts of town. What makes this film so effective is its dreamlike, eerie atmosphere. Director Herc Harvey, who also plays the mysterious ghoul, creates this sense of disconnect and unreality that permeates every scene. Mary seems to phase in and out of existence. Sometimes people can't hear or see her, and the world becomes silent and empty around her. The abandoned Saltaire Pavilion in Utah, where much of the film takes place, is genuinely creepy with its decaying grandeur. The film was a commercial failure on release, but was rediscovered and became hugely influential. You can see its impact on directors like David Lynch and George Romero. The atmospheric dread, the ambiguous ending, and the use of real locations instead of sets give it this authentic, unsettling quality. It's way more effective than it has any right to be given its tiny budget, proving that great horror is about atmosphere and ideas, not special effects. The Man from Earth, 2007. Here's a modern one. This indie sci-fi drama is basically one long conversation in a cabin, but the premise is fascinating. A professor reveals to colleagues that he's a 14,000-year-old caveman. It's all dialogue, all ideas, and it will make you think. Proof you don't need a big budget to make. Great cinema. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, 1978. Pure, absurdist comedy. Tomatoes become sentient and attack humanity. That's it. That's the plot. It's intentionally ridiculous, self-aware, and surprisingly entertaining. The theme song alone is worth the watch. Don't take it seriously. Just enjoy the chaos. Plan 9 from Outer Space, 1957. We're ending with the movie often called the worst movie ever made by Ed Wood. But here's the thing. It's so earnest, so sincere in its awfulness that it becomes endearing. Terrible special effects, nonsensical plot, cardboard tombstones, and it's all free. It's a rite of passage for bad movie fans. And there you have it. 15 completely free, legal movies you can watch right now on YouTube. From timeless classics to so bad they're good cult favorites, there's something here for everyone. Now here's the thing, YouTube's free movie library changes sometimes, so if you want to watch these, don't wait. Also, YouTube has hundreds more free movies with ads that I didn't even mention today. Which of these are you watching first? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more content like this. I post every week about hidden gems, streaming tips, and how to get the most entertainment without breaking the bank. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.